Our story opens today in the quaint little hamlet of Frostbite Falls, Minnesota, the only town in the United States with more TV sets than people. The reason for this astounding fact is simple. This is the home of one of television's most sparkling personalities, Rocket J. Squirrel.
Take off your hat when you mention that name, mister.
We love Rocky.
He put Frostbite Falls on the map.
See, it's right here, under this period.
That's a fly speck, Quincy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I left my magnifying glass to home.
Hush! It's time for Rocky and his friends.
Well, of course, in Frostbite Falls, that's the magic word. And every TV set in town went on. In homes and restaurants and playpens and regular for-real pens. Of course, all the TV sets need antennas, and the rooftops of Frostbite Falls are a riotous tangle of TV antennas of every shape and description. Or, at any rate, they were. Until one terrible day when...
Bah! The TV is bust!
Oh, nonsense, Carlisle. It just needs a little adjusting.
But no, the TV set was bust.
Come on, we'll dash over to the neighbor's house and look at their... Ooh! You come to our house?
Yeah, our TV is bust.
Great gobs of go, it's an epidemic.
Sure enough, the panic-stricken citizens soon discovered that the entire town was without television. Quickly, they summoned their hero, Rocky the Flying Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
What's that, Rock?
It's a summons.
What does that mean?
It means someone's in trouble.
I should have knowed.
Rocky, the whole town's TV is bust.
But just then, the sharp-eyed squirrel made a startling discovery.
Hey, look up there. There's your answer.
What do you mean, Rock? There's nothing there.
That's just what I mean.
It is?
Where are all the TV antennas?
Hey, that's right.
Sure enough, there was nothing left of that forest of television antennas but a lot of metal stumps.
Our lives are ruined.
Well, they were certainly changed anyway, for with no television in Frostbite Falls, the citizens had to find other things to do of an evening. They had to resort to such outmoded pastimes as taffy pulling, front porch swinging, jigsaw puzzles, and old maid. Some few citizens were even seen reading books.
We gotta do something, Rock.
Okay, let's get those antennas back up.
And in a dazzling aerial display, Rocky, with an armload of new antennas, zoomed low over the rooftops and speared them into place. But when Bullwinkle climbed up to fasten the wires on...
Heavens too, Betsy. They're all down again.
It was true. In spite of Rocky's efforts, there wasn't one antenna left standing in all of Frostbite Falls.
Well, there's only one thing to do, Bullwinkle.
Buy a book?
No, see the sheriff.
And a little later, Sheriff Wright was on the scene to examine the evidence.
What I'd like to know is where would anybody put that many antennas?
What I'd like to know is what would anybody want them for?
What I'd like to know is what's happening to Peabody and Sherman.
Yeah. Well, let me see how the job was done. Uh-oh.
Were they sawed off, Sheriff?
Nope.
Were they chopped off?
Nope.
Were they just busted off?
Nope.
Then
I don't know quite how to say this, boys.
try it in English first.
Those TV antennas was all bitten off.
Bitten?
You mean like with teeth?
Yes, like with teeth. Big, sharp, wicked teeth.
Who or what lies behind this frightening fact? Maybe we'll find out next time in Bullwinkle Bites Back, or Nothing But the Tooth.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Well, had another scrap with the Creases boy, eh, Junior?
Yeah, Pop.
Well, don't look so glum. We all have to lose sometime.
Oh, I didn't lose, Pop. Butch Creases came out of it with 2 black eyes, while I only got 1.
Yes, but I'm sure neither of his can match the grandeur of yours.
I smell a mortal coming up.
And it's a dilly. Quality is more important than quantity.
I can almost see what you mean.
And as a further illustration of that adage, let us take the fable of the hare and the hound. Once there was a hound who, while walking through the forest, came across a bear trap.
If I was to stick my leg into that trap and some dumb animal came along and thought I was hurt, he would take me into his home and nurse me and feed me.
Having everything to gain and just a leg to lose, the hound put his worst foot forward and...
Ooh, that's smart.
The first animal to come along was a hare.
Hello, hound.
Hello, hare.
What you doing?
I ain't waiting for no streetcar.
You got your foot caught in a trap, haven't you?
Yeah, and does it hurt?
Does it?
Now that you ask me, yes. Look, why don't you be a generous hare and take me home with you?
Oh, I'm afraid I couldn't do that, but I will help you get out of the trap.
Being an unusually bright hare, he took the hound to the edge of the nearest cliff.
And what are you going to do?
I'm going to toss the trap over the cliff.
I know, but where it goes, I go.
But you want to break the trap, don't you?
The hare's plan worked to perfection. The trap was broken. So was the hound's leg. The hare was forced to take him home.
Look here, Rover, I can only let you stay one night.
Oh, but that would be inhumane. Please, hare, you gotta let me recoup. You let me stay here until my leg heals, and someday I'll do you a favor.
Honest Injun?
Scout's honor.
The hare agreed, and for 6 months he waited on the hound hand and foot. The day before the cast was to be removed, a stranger came to the door.
There's a rumor going around that you got a dog.
Well, that's right, but,
You got a license for that dog?
Well, you see, he's not really mine.
You're under arrest.
But,
Don't you worry, hare. Someday I'll do you a favor.
honest honor?
Scout's Injun.
The little hare was sentenced to the rock pile for 30 days. Of course, things could have been worse. For instance, on Sundays, he was allowed visitors.
Tough break, hare, but don't you worry. I'm taking care of your house.
I know, but can't you help me get out of here? Hire a lawyer.
Oh, that costs money.
Well, I've got money. It's hidden under the...
Rug? Sorry, hare. I found that weeks ago, and the dog's gotta eat, you know.
Now, that word dog was overheard by a guard.
Say, whose dog are you?
Why, I'm his.
Well, you ain't got no license.
Sure enough, the hare received another sentence on the rock pile, and this one was for 30 years.
By the time I get out of here, I'll be an old gray hare.
Not if the hound could help it.
Psst.
You.
I told you someday I would do you a favor.
Look, do me a favor. Don't do me a favor.
Don't be silly. I'm going to help you crack out of this place.
Jamming a basket full of eggs under his arm, the hound led the hare to the front gate.
Just a second there. Where do you think you're going?
Open the gate. Open the gate. This is the Easter Bunny, and he's going to deliver some eggs.
Oh, yeah. Let me look at those eggs. These must be hard-boiled eggs.
Actually, they were hard-boiled hand grenades.
I couldn't find any eggs.
The hare received an additional 30 years, 1 for trying to escape and 29 for impersonating the Easter Bunny. But the day finally came when he was released. Old and bent, he headed back to his forest home, and wouldn't you know he'd come across his old friend the hound?
Ooh, that's smart.
Hello, hound. Foot caught in a trap again?
Yes. You say, I wonder if you'd mind, taking me home and caring for me.
Well, I'd like to, but I've got a friend staying at my place. He's been taking care of things for me during the past 10 years.
Did you say friend? One friend?
One friend is all I got.
Then let's be on our way. One friend ain't gonna bother me.
Yes, it looked as though the hound would continue taking advantage of the good-hearted hare. Ah, but that's where friendship came in. For even though the hare had but one friend,
let me out of here!
that friend was an important one.
Hello, hare.
Hello, skunk.
So, you see, son, quality is more important than quantity.
I got a moral too, Pop. Good things come in smell packages.
That's hitting it on the nose.
Last time, you remember, the citizens of Frostbite Falls had the shock of their lives when every TV antenna in town mysteriously disappeared. Their reaction was instantaneous.
Our lives are ruined.
Some people refused to admit that the terrible thing had happened and sat doggedly before their sets anyway. Others resorted to ingenious methods of substitution.
So remember, friends, get Johnson's voice binders in the red and blue box.
Oh, that's great, Henry. Now do the one about the dog food.
Still others didn't notice any change at all.
Love these sea stories.
But the most mysterious thing of all was the way the antennas had disappeared.
You may not believe this, boys, but every one of them was bitten off.
Bitten off? You mean there's some metal munching monster loose in this town?
Now, let's not jump to conclusions, boys. There's probably some logical explanation.
Sure make a better story my way.
And it looked as if Bullwinkle might be right at that. They were watched by a pair of sinister eyes.
Well, whoever or whatever it was didn't leave a clue. I'll need some help on this case.
That's me.
Somebody who's brave.
That's me.
And trustworthy.
That's me.
And smart as a whip.
That's him.
Any ideas, Rocky?
You bet, Sheriff. I think we ought to set a trap.
Rocky, you're right as rain.
And twice as wet.
And in a very short time, the sheriff and our boys had set a trap in the form of one special king-size TV antenna, complete with instructions.
Now, we'll just stand guard here all night and see what happens.
Right, Sheriff. You take the first watch, Bullwinkle.
Okay. Oh, I'll take the first watch and you take the wrist watch and I'll do the do.
And as night fell, the vigilant moose patrolled his lonely post while Rocky and the sheriff dozed nearby. Then, just about midnight...
Halt! Who's there? I didn't quite catch the name. Here, let me strike a match.
And in the glow of the match, an unbelievable sight met Bullwinkle's eyes.
Heck, it's just a mouse. An ordinary 6-foot metal mouse. 6 foot? Now, I wonder...
But Bullwinkle didn't wonder long, for the strange intruder raised a heavy metal fist and... Daylight was dawning when Rocky and the sheriff opened their eyes.
Hey, is it my turn to... Hokey smoke!
Godfrey, the antenna's gone.
Sure enough, the decoy antenna had been bitten off to a tiny stump, and there beside it lay the mighty moose sound asleep.
Bullwinkle, how could you do it?
What? How could I do what?
You went to sleep at your post. How could you do it?
Easy, I just closed my eyes. Hey, wait! I didn't go to sleep. I was attacked and put to sleep.
You were attacked?
No, attacked.
Who did it?
It was a... Now, wait a minute, Bullwinkle. Will the sheriff believe you saw a 6-foot metal mouse? No. Will Rocky believe it? No. Do you believe it? No. Well, then...
Tell me who did it, Bullwinkle, and we'll...
I'm sorry, Rock. I can't tell you.
Can't tell me? Your best friend, your old buddy boy.
Sorry, I just can't. Okay, Sheriff, get the spoon.
The spoon?
Yeah, I'm ready to take my medicine.
And so over Bullwinkle falls the ugly shadow of guilt. Don't fail to see our next heart-rending episode, Knock on Wood, or Bullwinkle Takes the Rap.
And now for all you knowledge seekers, here's Mr. Know-It-All.
Hi there! Today's subject is how to open a jar of pickles. The simplest way to open a jar of pickles is to unscrew the lid, turning gently from left to right. Oh! If that doesn't work, turn it right to left. Oh! Well, there are other ways of opening it. Putting the jar under hot water will usually do the trick, and if you happen to be in Yellowstone Park, the best hot water comes up out of Old Faithful, the geyser. You place the jar right over the hole, taking care to be well clear before the geyser goes... When you get out of the hospital, you take a slightly different approach.
I got the hammer, Mr. Know-It-All.
Splendid, splendid. When the lid is tapped, it is certain to loosen. Now, when I nod my head, you hit it with the hammer.
Right, Bullwinkle. Huh?
I think I made that perfectly clear. I said, when I nod my head, hit it with the hammer.
If you say so.
Okay. I nod thusly and... If everything else fails, we climb to an altitude of 5,000 feet and hurl the jar and ourselves earthward. Pocahontas! But if you really want to open a jar of pickles...
Wait a minute, Mr. Know-It-All. That isn't a jar of pickles. That's a jar of jelly.
No wonder I couldn't open it. It's jammed.
In the northern region of Canada at the close of the 19th century, arch-villain Snidely Whiplash stood before a mirror, practicing his leers.
Hee-ho, ho-ha, ha-ha-ha. Canada's not big enough for the two of us, Bruno. The Royal Canadian Mounties and me. One of us has to go.
But Snidely, you're talking about the Royal Canadian Mounties. Gee.
Quiet. I have a plan to get rid of them.
All of them?
Every last red-coated always get their man one of them.
Gee.
Who in the Mounties is the most loyal, trustworthy, brave, fearless, and respected member of the force?
Dudley Do-Right?
No, Dudley Do-Right's horse. That horse is an inspiration to the entire mounted police. If we kidnap Do-Right's horse, the morale of the Mounties will crumble, and they will wander off aimlessly into the woods.
But how are we going to do that, Whiplash? You know Dudley Do-Right won't let that horse out of his sight. Besides, that's horse stealing.
A little late in the game to start thinking about that, Bruno. Come, I've got a plan.
How come I always figure in the tail end of your plans?
Button up your horse suit.
It's your fault, Do-Right.
Well, I can't help it if I've got a popular horse, Inspector.
Too blamed popular, Do-Right. Look. It's unhealthy. That's what it is. Unhealthy.
Well, he simply can't help it if he's well-liked.
You don't understand, Do-Right. He's the only thing that keeps up their morale. I'm afraid if anything happened to him, they would all just wander away from camp aimlessly.
Perhaps it's because he's the only horse in the mounted police, Inspector. Maybe if you got some more horses.
At ease, Do-Right. Consider the matter closed.
There he is now, Bruno.
I'll take your word for it.
What's the matter with you, horse? Haven't you ever seen a pretty face before?
Where's your horse, Dudley?
He met up with a pretty face, Inspector.
That was no pretty face, Do-Right. That was Snidely dressed up in a horse suit.
You mean my horse ran off with a snidely dressed horse suit?
You want to let the cat out of the bag?
You mean horse, Inspector?
Dudley Do-Right, we've got to find that horse before the rest of the camp finds out he's missing.
But it wasn't long before a few of the Mounties, their morales crumbling, started wandering aimlessly out of camp into the forest, including our hero.
We've got to do something, Dudley.
About what, Inspector?
It worked out fine, eh, Snidely? We got Dudley's horse, just like you said.
Yes, everything worked out fine, except I can't get out of this horse suit.
Well, you got into it.
I know I got into it, but now the zipper is stuck. Oh, well, I'd better run over and see how the morale is at the fort.
A centaur! A centaur! Inspector, I just caught a centaur!
That is no centaur, Do-Right. That is Snidely dressed in half a horse suit. All right, half a Snidely. Tell us what you've done with Dudley Do-Right's horse.
Never, Inspector. I shall never tell you where I've hidden him. And the morale of the Mounties will crumble.
Did you see that, Dudley? That gives me an idea.
So, in order to keep up the morale of his troops, the inspector made Snidely Whiplash Dudley Do-Right's horse, and the troops did not notice the difference. However, Snidely Whiplash did.
Giddy up there, Snidely, or I'll give you a whiplash.
Wait a minute. You've almost got me believing I'm a horse. I'll take you to your horse.
And so, Inspector, here I am, and here's my horse.
But where is Snidely Whiplash?
Oh, he escaped.
Escaped from a mountie? That's shameful, Do-Right. Downright shameful.
I know, Inspector. He was the best horse I ever had.
Well, in the mystery of the disappearing TV antennas, it looks as if Bullwinkle Moose is the first victim. Assigned to stand guard over a decoy antenna, Bullwinkle ran face to face with what seemed to be a 6-foot metal mouse. The meeting lasted only a few seconds, and then Bullwinkle slept soundly until morning. Of course, when he woke up, he found it impossible to tell anybody about it.
Mainly because I don't believe it myself.
Well, I've got no other course than to take you in for questioning, Bullwinkle.
Oh, I don't mind questions, Sheriff Wright. It's answering I can't do.
Gee, it looks as if Frostbite Falls has lost its TV permanently.
True enough, the town's television sets had been off for some days now. Most people still sat in front of them in the evening, but a few families had begun to adjust to the situation. Some used their sets as aquariums, some raised flowers in them.
You want to watch the daisies tonight, Myrtle?
No, turn to Channel 7, Humphrey. It's got petunias.
Nevertheless, most people found they just couldn't get along without their television.
Come back. Please, come back.
But at that moment in the boardroom of the Nit-Nat Network, there was an emergency meeting going on, presided over by their chairman, Quincy Flogg.
Gentlemen, we face a dire emergency. TV antennas are disappearing all over the country.
You mean people can't watch the programs?
Worse than that, even. They can't watch the commercials.
What?
Yes, we're pitching, but they're not catching.
And Quincy Flogg pointed to the map of all the television antennas in the country. As the startled members watched, they could see them disappearing before their very eyes.
We're being wiped out.
We face the fight of our lives, gentlemen, but we'll win.
Of course, the Nit-Nat Network immediately set guards over its broadcasting transmitters located high atop Mount Filbert.
This is silly if you ask me, Edgar. Who'd ever come clear up to this mountaintop just to...
Now, there's something you don't see every day, Chauncey.
What's that, Edgar?
A 6-foot metal mouse.
Oh, I don't know. These woods are full of mice.
But this mouse was a little bit different from most mice, for he went direct to the transmitter and began to bite huge chunks out of the steel tower. In a matter of minutes, the Nit-Nat Network was off the air. Of course, the two guards soon found themselves behind bars.
Why are you here, Chauncey?
I wouldn't tell them what happened. I figured they wouldn't believe it.
Oh?
Why are you here?
I told them. They didn't.
But the Nit-Nat Network wasn't the only one hit. In the days that followed, tower after tower was demolished. What was worse, people all over the country began to slip back into their old-fashioned evening habits, catching fireflies, playing the mandolin. Some people even began to go to bed early. That's why, a little while later...
As your senator, I can tell you that people all over this fair land demand action.
Yeah!
Truly, this is a task worthy of the greatest mind of the country.
That's right.
The most courageous heart.
That's right.
The most stalwart champion of the people.
You mean?
Yes, I mean Rocket J. Squirrel.
Oh.
Don't worry, folks. I promise I won't fail you.
But even as Rocky spoke, a nearby iron lamppost trembled, tilted, and began to fall directly toward him. Don't miss our next episode, A Knock for the Rock, or The Lamp is Low.